got Ivy on the camera. We're doing episode 6, top half guard. So, Mr. Anthony, you go down. And you got half guard. So the first basic option that I would go for is to try and fight for the underhook with your top side. So let's say he doesn't have a knee shield and I am able to get this underhook. You want to get underhook and a cross face, and you're just going to start smashing into him. You want to flatten him out. Let's see what the first ones are. So probably my favorite one, if his legs are open, I try and get, well no, you can leave your legs closed, I'll open it later. So let's say you come behind me, Ivy. I try and get the leg that's not captured, so my left leg in this case. I'm going to try and get the knee towards his hip, just to lock his hips in place. And then I'm going to start using the elbow of underhook hand to try and get my knee line out. And once I have my knee line out, if his legs are together, it's not the end of the world. If you can try and get your foot near his ankle, you can try and just straighten your leg out and pretty much do a donkey kick. And you just keep going for that. So here I popped out. Another version is to do that kick, and it creates a little pocket here for you to try and slip your foot out. That one's a little bit more finesse and accurate, but they both work. And if you kick out really hard, a lot of times it gives me momentum to kick out and come to like north-south situation. But if you left that and come behind me again, Ivy. If you left the leg that wasn't captured, my left leg near his hip, when you kick out, it's going to put you in a pretty good spot, especially if you're using underhook hand to frame on his legs to start working for mount. But let's say I wasn't able to get my foot out like that, so the next best bet is to try and come to 3/4 mount. So if you want to go 3/4 mount, just drive the knee down after you pass the knee line. So boom, now my knee, the knee that was captured in his half guard is on the mat. And now we're in 3/4 mount. And the first basic one is a knee slice. So I would post my head to the mat near his head. And I'm giving a little bit of space, but realistically I'd be putting my shoulder like really hard on his face, or even trying to get my head on him so I can tripod or basically get my butt up. And then the knee that's captured, you're gonna switch it to the opposite hip on him, so that you can just start continuing to slide that knee out as you're driving. And hopefully you can capture this arm, his right arm, as you're doing it. The other one is to put your knee in his belly for a butterfly hook mount. So I tripod, and let's say it's not so easy to get this knee all the way to the other hip, all the way here. So it's stuck in the middle. So if it's stuck in the middle, it's not a big deal. Keep your head low and try and put pressure on him. And he's already pushing a lot because he doesn't like the pressure. So I'll just ease up a little bit. But in like comp, like no reason to ease up, just put all that pressure, just hold them there. And unless they explode out of there, just make them eat it. You want them to explode, because when they explode, that's gonna create an opportunity for you. But let's say he did something, and so I decide that the foot that's free is gonna butterfly hook one hip, so then now I'm butterfly hooking both hips, and then I just call this like the butterfly mount pass. So now I have top butterfly, so it's like butterfly guard but from the top. We don't get any points for that. So if you're grabbing his head, you just use his head to slide you up, and then you got mount. The other option, 1 3/4, that's nice. So let's say you're on this side, Ivy. So the knee that's not captured, especially you can get him to turn his chest that way, goes behind him. And then you can start working a back take, because you already have one hook in. So if you can chair sit or basically drive the non-captured knee towards his head, you can start pulling him back into your lap. And then you got your points, and then after you got your points, I'll probably go for a rear triangle since it's more painful. Another one that I like because a lot of times people focus so much on the upper body. There's a sub here. It's pretty quick. So if you just keep your shin behind his top knee and you turn back, you can start reaching for the ankle of the leg in which your shin is pressing on, and you can start pulling it towards you. And there's a calf slicer there. If you don't want to go for calf slicer, maybe it's illegal because you're in like white or something, you can just roll over and go to truck, and then from there there's a truck series, I believe. I think it was on episode 1, Top Turtle. But there's a bunch of subs, but let's say you just want points, you can just start working for the back take. I would definitely go for the calf slicer first, because that gives them the urgency to react, and if they react, you go for the back take or you come back up to the upper body. So let's say you're back to half guard. So there's a few leg locks you can go for. And one of the reasons you would do that is I find it easiest to get that underhook and smash his back to the mat if he's coming up. So if he starts coming up, then I can start trying to smash his back to the mat. But if he's already just chilling flat and you have frames, like say you're elbow framing, this is not really the best situation to drive into him. I'm really just gonna kill my own energy. So I want him to come up if I'm gonna smash him. If he doesn't come up, then I'll just get my sub. If he comes up, I'm gonna smash him. So let's say he's not coming up. You have a toe hold. So let's say he's grabbing this together, just strip it off. Boom. And you can also go for a Robinson toe hold. So this hand grabs from the inside. You can pull this way, or from the inside, which is probably even nastier. But let's say he starts coming up. Boom, and you can start smashing him. And a couple of those times you may have noticed I didn't get the underhook. So if he's coming up, boom, and he beat me to the underhook, that's fine. This one we're gonna start working the Kimura, which is a little bit later, but that's why I wasn't too worried if I didn't get the underhook when I try and smash him. So we're now gonna go for a Navy ride. So Navy ride, maybe not safe, depends on where you train. I actually went for a Navy ride cradle on someone in a white belt comp, so I think it's illegal, but still be careful. So you just get your hand of the same side that's captured over his top IT band, and then the other hand is gonna pretty much gable grip. And let's say he doesn't like the situation about to be in, so he's gonna start straightening his leg out. And if he does this, you're gonna try and rack his leg over your shoulder. You're gonna pull this in, but it's not gonna be a knee bar. You're not really gonna be able to hyperextend his knee. What you're gonna try and do is get under his kneecap. So this is a circle, his kneecap. You're gonna try and get like a radial bone under his kneecap. And once it's pinched in towards you, you just turn up. And that's gonna pretty much, let's see if I can do it. I can move my kneecap a little bit. So if I can move my kneecap a little bit, when I turn up, I'm gonna try and move his kneecap a lot. Heard Neil Munson calls it patella lock. So I'm pulling this in. And he already tapped before I could even do it because I felt his kneecap move. So when you're pulling it, you're not really pulling it straight, you're pulling it slightly up at an angle, so the kneecap is moving up. And then once it's pinched in towards your chest, and assuming he didn't tap yet, then you start turning like this, kneecap comes up even more. If they don't tap, probably because they have really, like, you know, some people, they can just move their kneecap up like crazy, but I don't think most people can do that. And he tapped really early. So that's the patella lock. Now a lot of times, you won't be able to get the patella lock sub, whether they're defending or they just have like mobile kneecaps, or you just didn't get it well. So you just drive their knee down under cross face the other side, and then you can start working the banana split pass, I believe, from stand up part 1. But let's say they didn't straighten their leg out. You can try and belly them down for a calf slicer. So if I want to belly him down because his knee is still bent, I'm going to post the leg that's not captured out. And I'm going to turn his body down to the mat. And the reason he's going to go is because if he doesn't go, he's going to start feeling a lot of pressure in his knee. And now that I have him here, I'm going to pull his knee towards me. Pull the knee towards me with my bone pointed inside of his kneecap. And then I'm going to start driving his foot towards his butt with my shoulder. And then I'm going to start twisting my wrist so that the radial bone is pointed up. And that's going to pretty much be a calf slicer. And if you come here, Ivy, this is where he tapped. So his knee was not that close to the ground, which means if you do this on someone, you should be very slow. Because if I actually drove and put his knee to the ground and his ankle to his butt, I probably would have went well beyond submission. But let's say he doesn't tap to that for some reason. You post your fist to the mat, and then you start headhunting. And as you start headhunting, you're going to start making him rotate his hip outward, like so. So boom, I start headhunting. I start bringing his head towards me. And the more I bring his head towards me, it's going to put a lot of rotation on his hip. So he tapped there just from pulling the head in. But on top of pulling the head in, you can also start bringing his leg down. Now, let's say he doesn't tap to that for some reason. I would start switching this hand. Well, first I would try and rack his leg. And then I'll start going for a rear naked with a top crab ride. So I have a top crab ride, plus I have the leg shelf. And then if you bail out of that, you got top crab ride. And the leg shelf gives you other options. Okay, so let's say you got half guard again. So let's say he's coming up, and I came down on him, but he got the underhook, which is fine. I would just start coming around for the Kimura. Or if you want to do more aggressively, you could just drop with your lat on his back. I mean, drop with my lat on his chest. And now we can go for the Kimura. So as you're going for the Kimura, I'll call this the hammer arm, my left arm. You're gonna try and clear your knee line, or like earlier, to start getting a 3/4 mount, and start working the Kimura. And usually you're gonna get one of the two, but let's say we're gonna get the Kimura because I already showed what to do if you get your knee passed. So I'm gonna try and plant his wrist to the mat. And just like the previous video, this one though I learned from Peterson grappling, I'm gonna try and slide his wrist up towards his head, but I'm not gonna just slide it up like this. I'm gonna do short explosive movements. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those short explosive moves make it really hard if you're being like really stiff and stubborn. Now the other option you have, if he's really strong and it's just you just can't move it. So I'm gonna try and get it close to well, it can be here too, but it's just easier here because we're gonna roll later. His wrist, I mean, it's easier if I can get it near his back. I'm gonna step over his head, just like a standard Kimura finish. So lean over, and you should be able to step over pretty easily. Like maybe he's trying to block it. Boom. And my head is gonna face towards his head so that I can roll over. And if I can, I wanna squeeze my legs together. And now you got pretty much like a closed guard Kimura finish, or you can go for a hammerlock finish. And these are all out of Peterson grappling. So I got the Kimura again, and he was able to get his hand too far away. So if his hand is here, you want to catch him at 90 So for example, this hand is here, you want to bring him over towards 90 degree angle. And learn this as the Jiu Jitsu Kimura because it's like a cross. You want to have your wrist hand at his wrist. The hammer hand, you want to get to his elbow joint. Let me go a little light because I can only tell the pressure is there. Grab your own wrist, plant the hand is grabbing his wrist to the mat, and then just start working your elbow up, and it's a straight arm lock. Now, if he goes even higher, you can start making this an Americana, and now you lost your Kimura, but you didn't really lose it. You can still try and fight for the Kimura. You grab your own hand, but not the Kimura. You're gonna have an Americana with the wrong side grip. You can still try it. You're gonna pull his wrist towards his ribs and try and point his elbow up. Okay, got the chop. Now, if he gets even higher with his hand and maybe start straightening it out, you're gonna start cupping your head to track this now instead of your hands. And now you're gonna start working for an arm triangle. So now you really need to clear this, but on the nice side is he has no hand to defend that. Butterfly hook mount, pull the captured leg out, and then slide over for an arm triangle. So it all depends on kind of where he's putting his hand, what sub you're gonna go for. Alright, so now we're gonna go for some chokes that Neil Melissa has a nice series on. So let's say you come behind me. So if he does get the underhook on us, so he comes up and he manages to get the underhook on us, we don't want this bottom arm to be elevated, his bottom arm, so I'm gonna pull on it. So he can have the underhook as long as I don't let him post on his bottom arm. And if that's the case, I'm gonna start planting his head to the mat with my free arm, my arm on the outside. The arm that is, and still trying to come up. So you're gonna be more like this, yeah. I'm gonna be grabbing my own wrist. If you can get on the head, even better. And let's say he's pretty weak, or I'm just putting a lot of weight on him, able to drag pretty far. I can start trying to stand up, and it'll let me knee slice my leg out. And you can use it as a pass. But if he's not letting you pass with it, if you can crunch the arm that's underhooking you towards his body, you can start working for a Darce choke. Go for the 3/4 grip or the 1 finger grip. Beat this in even deeper. Oh, can't tell the face already. You follow, we can start using the back. Oh, he tapped already. You can start using the fact that he has your leg captured. At this point, you have his leg captured, really. Because once you fall over, you're going to start using his leg to pull into it. Well, let's say I wasn't able to crunch his arm in. So there's a gap. Like a really big gap here because I wasn't able to crunch his arm in. You can tripod up and get your knee in. You can post your head on the mat, and then you can start pulling. My right hand is on his neck, and my left knee is on his neck. Tap. It's a German necktie. Now let's say we go on the other side. So, okay, so he comes up for the underhook. He beat me on the underhook, but I try and pull this out. I can start working an anaconda choke, and once again, I want to try and feed this hand through. And if I can do that, boom, anaconda. And I'm trying to get it as deep as I can get it. You can fall over. You can start pulling. You tap. And we're not going too much over the mechanics. We went more over the choking mechanics on the first episode, Top Turtle. But let's say you weren't able to crunch his arm in. You got the underhook. I pull on this. I go here. Now you're just going to go for arm and guillotine. a lot of times, if you don't get the sub, there's gonna be so much urgency in the upper body, and they might start scrambling, you know, to get out of the situation. The legs are open, so you can just pop your leg out and pass. But if you hold on to the sub, you'll be able to finish it more easily, because now you can finish from mount or something instead of top half guard. Now the last one, so let's say you're on this side. And the reason I showed two different chokes on the both sides is because I really like to choke with my right hand. So on this side, it's easier for me to go for a Darce and German necktie. On the other side, it's easier for me to go for Anaconda and arm and guillotine. So if you are like one hand dominant, you can still have really good attacks on both sides. So if his knee is really close to his head, if he ever does that, for some reason, like he's trying to be really balled up, let's say I'm trying to press on him, he's being really balled up, I'm gonna use the hand on the side that is captured, my leg is captured, to come under his knee, pinch his head down, and now I have a cradle. And I'm pretty much gonna pin him wrestling style, so I'm gonna get his back to the mat and elevate. And now we're pretty much doing the inverted guard pass. So in this case, his legs open up. If they weren't, your cradle is gonna help, and this is gonna help. You can just pop your leg out, and now you can start working for a side control or a choke, whatever you want. I usually go for a mounted guillotine. Another nasty version of that, which is actually one that landed in the white belt comp, which is why I said you can land Navy rights. So if his head is crunched together, I'm crunching this. Instead of coming under his leg entirely, I'm gonna come under only the ankle. So that way when I go for my cradle, it's gonna start creating a Navy right situation when I pull him over, and he might have to tap. Okay, so he's just tapping. But you could do all the previous stuff if you had flexible hips, knees, whatever, and didn't tap. But okay, next episode 7, I believe, is mount. So if you learned something, please give me a like. Thank you.